that agenda and I was a little happy.
Surprise. So I'm Carol Lisbon, Chair of the Planning Board, and I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:01 based upon the directions from Beacon Hill. This will be a Zoom meeting. At this point, we don't seem to have anyone in attendance other than staff and planning board members. But I will take a roll call. So Scott Friedman,
Present.
Jody Shu,
Here.
Val Lynn.
Here.
I'm Carol Lisbon, and we have Sue Hall and Laura Harbottle. So let us get started. We are expecting the Faulkners, though. Is that correct, Laura?
Sue, did you send them the link?
No, I didn't. I assumed that they would just get it online.
Yeah,
Because I thought you were communicating with them on, the details.
a little bit, yeah. I did not send them the link. I think we had this conversation and you had said you thought they would probably get it online.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, let me do this. Let me just quickly give Henry a call. Otherwise, we'll change the agenda.
Small
later.
town at its finest.
I should sell my
It
contact.
is.
You could. You do. That's so true.
Hey, Henry, it's Carol. Good, how are you? Good, wondering if you and Kate are going to be joining us tonight on the planning board? For your Stonewall? Oh. Kate's in Florida, you didn't know anything about it. Okay,
Yeah.
in that case, I guess we will reschedule. And I'll have Sue give you a call to figure out when that will be that works for the two of you. Okay, when's Kate coming back? Okay. Right, okay. Okay. Okay, no, well, I'm in the middle of the meeting, so I'm gonna say goodbye. Okay, bye, Henry. No problem, no problem. Okay, bye. So Sue,
Okay.
Sue, would you, after next Sunday,
Yep,
contact Kate
sure.
and reschedule that?
Yep.
Okey-doke. Okay, so let's move on to the agenda item number 2, which is a site plan review, the request for continuation for the preliminary site plan review for 78 Strawberry Hill Street. I will turn this over to Laura.
Okay, I don't think the applicant is gonna have anybody at the meeting either, but I don't think they really need to. This is the property on Strawberry Hill Street. That's the huge, 8-acre parcel, which is mostly cleared, completely cleared, and has the beginnings of some buildings on it, but the owner is still sorting through what he really wants to see on the site. So they've got a new landscape architect and they're doing a new stormwater plan, and they're also looking at changing some of the structures near the tennis court. They're changing the location of the pool house, and so on. So they have asked for a continuance to the meeting of May 8th. And they've asked that the time for the planning board to file the decision be extended to May 15th. So I think you all should vote to approve that extension.
So just to clarify, they present to us on May 8th. And we have 1 week to respond.
No, if it's time to make it, either they'll continue to another meeting if they're not done yet, or if you all like you know, what they've proposed and you approve it, yeah, we'll somehow work it out, but in the unlikely event that you approve something on May 8th, it gives you a week to get a decision into the town clerk.
Oh, that decision. Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Okay, you mean the written decision. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, got it. My only concern is this, that based on what we've already seen, it's quite an extensive site. And we have town meeting on May 1st.
Yeah.
So where some of us are going to be very busy getting ready for town meeting. So if they get us the material 10 days before the 8th, that's basically the week before town meeting.
yeah.
And we might have other things on our mind. So do you think it would be possible to, I'm sorry, I didn't think about this when we were talking about it in general terms a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be possible for them to continue it, for us to continue it to the meeting after May 8th, which is May 22nd?
I would expect so. Yeah. I mean, what they've asked for right now is May 8th. I mean, yeah, I can go back to them and ask, and maybe we can word the motion so that if that's really not acceptable to them, we can still do it on May 8th.
Sure, which we would have to be able to, which we would have to do. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, so let's see what we can do with that.
Yeah.
Because, I think May 22nd will allow us to give a lot of bit more of due diligence
Mhm.
than if it was
Yeah.
on May 8th.
Okay.
Okay. So, let's see, from a motion standpoint then. Let's see. The planning board moves to continue the preliminary site plan review of 78 Strawberry Hill Street to May 22nd, with the understanding that if that is not acceptable to the applicant, that the meeting will be continued until May 8th. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. So with that motion being said, any comments on it?
Sounds just right.
I will take a vote then. Jody Shu,
Yes.
Scott Friedman,
Yes.
and Carol has been yes. Okay, thank you. And Laura, let's hope you can do your magic. Next item on the agenda is to vote to approve the latest and final draft of the ADU bylaw.
Yep.
With just a few language changes to the Board of Health clause.
Yep. Do you want me to
Yes,
pipe
please.
in?
Yep.
So Scott and I presented at the warrant committee's open hearing on March 13th. And just before the presentation of the ADU bylaw update, Kay Peterson and I met in the hallway, and she told me that the Board of Health had met that night. They had reviewed the bylaw and just had this one minor tweak to make to clarify the language around Board of Health oversight. And both Laura and I spoke with her and agreed that it was a good change and reasonable. And so we support the change, I think, Laura, entirely. And
Yeah,
so Laura was able to make
definitely.
it quickly. So I think that's just what we're voting on, which you saw in the packet. And if you guys don't have it handy, it just basically changes. I'm just opening it up again.
I can screen share if you want, or if you have it.
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I just opened it and I lost it for a second. But basically what it does is it changes the element D3 on the attachment and changes the language. She made a great catch because we had an error in there by referring only to attached ADUs, but basically says for any renovations or new construction related to an ADU, the applicant shall obtain all required approvals from the Board of Health, consistent with ensuring compliance with state and town regulations regarding water and septic. So I think that's a great edit and update, and I support it wholeheartedly.
Okay, great. That was a good catch.
Yeah. And it was funny because when I was arriving and Laura was worried I wasn't coming, but I was there. Kay and I just happened to meet in the hallway, so it worked out perfectly.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion then that the planning board approve a revision to clause D3 of the draft ADU bylaw to read, for any renovations or new construction related to an ADU, the applicant shall obtain all required approvals from the Board of Health, consistent with ensuring compliance with state and town regulations regarding water and septic. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Jody?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Carol, yes. Okay, great. Would Sue or Laura decide amongst you, between you, but would one of you make sure that the new language is on the website, so that the bylaw that's on the website on the town meeting 2023 page is now reflecting this new clause D3?
Sure.
Great, thank you.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, next agenda item is approval of some minutes. I think you've all received the minutes of January 9th, February 6th, and February 13th. Did anybody have any comments or questions?
I think they looked good.
Okay, okay. In that case, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes of January 9th, 2023, February 6th, 2023, and February 13th, 2023 as submitted. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And we will take a vote. Scott?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
And Carol, yes. Thank you, Sue and Laura, for getting those done.
Mhm.
Moving right along, I just have a couple of updates, and then Laura will have some as well. As you may know, the Board of Selectmen have created have hired a consultant and created a search committee for a new town administrator. As they did 4 years ago when Chris Drelly was hired, they requested that a member of the planning board be part of that committee. So I asked Val if she'd be willing to do that, and she was, and now is, as of the
Thank you,
last
Val.
selectmen's meeting, a member of the search committee.
Great.
It should be quite an experience. It should be a lot of fun as well. So Val, thank you for doing that.
Yes, yeah, I think our first meeting is April 3rd, so coming up soon.
Great.
Excellent, great. I know everybody's excited to try to get a town administrator in here as quickly as possible. Just a couple of calendar things and various notes relative to the town meeting. Jody and I will be presenting to the Council on Aging Board on April 4th.
Carol, just a quick question about that one, and it's sort of similar to our upcoming open hearing. Will I be presenting that presentation or just talking about it?
I think the best thing to do is do the presentation.
Okay, so my MacBook is back, so that's very exciting. Laura, should I just connect with you about how we're going to actually physically present that, or should we assume it will be like the warrant committee hearing where it will be ready?
So it will, the meeting's going to be in the Board of Selectmen's meeting room.
Okay.
Won't be in the Great Hall, so it'll just be the board. I suggest, Jody, that you just work directly with Janet Claypool,
Janet. Okay.
who's the director of the COA.
Yep. So I find out what needs to happen to have that available. Okay.
Right, and she
Got it.
has, I directed Janet to the town meeting 2023 webpage that
Which,
Felicia.
by the way, is not that easy to find on the
We'll get to
That's
that in
right.
a moment as well, but it's there.
It's so weird. I actually
And-
was like actually looking for it.
Yeah, so it is up and running, if you
Okay.
can find it. And I looked at it this past weekend, and noticed that the 2 PowerPoints from our presentations were not on there. So I talked to Felicia. So she has now placed them on there. So the bylaws, the PowerPoints, and the ADU FAQs are now all there.
Oh, great. Laura or Sue, would one of you guys be able to put in the chat where we can find that on the town website?
Sure.
I was
Yeah.
actually there this afternoon looking and I was shocked that I couldn't find it.
So if you go to the, when you open up the website, if you go to government
Okay.
and you click on Board of Selectmen,
Ah.
and then under Board of Selectmen, you'll see town meeting.
So obvious.
Right. So I spoke to Felicia today and suggested to her that maybe she just wants to put a little button, for lack of a better word, on
Yeah.
the homepage
Exactly.
that will stay there to May 1st, and that you could come off as things come, from a calendar standpoint, and just there so that people can get to it, because it's one thing to say you have a web page, it's another thing to have
Yeah.
people find it. So yes,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
So Sue and Laura, you're gonna get the updated bylaw on there somehow too.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll
thank
do
you
it
so much.
through Felicia.
Mm.
One of us will do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
And
And I'll
there's,
reach out to Janet. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, so I just told her, I gave Janet the link to the actual page. It might be in one of your, I may have, might be in one of your emails. I think you're copied on all the COA stuff, but anyway, so she has the link and she's going to forward it to her board, to the COA board, so they all have the link to go onto the Dover website and get the material that they need.
Okay.
great. Great.
Okay,
I just popped it into the chat. The address for the town meeting section of the selectmen's page.
okay, so all the material now is on the web with just the update for the bylaw that we approved tonight, and then everything will be on it. I will remind everybody that we have the public hearing, which is legally required, next Monday, April 3rd. That will be in person. That will be an in-person meeting in the Great Hall of the townhouse. So,
Laura and Sue, similar question. Do I need my computer that night to present the ADU bylaw if we have attendance from the public, or shall I assume that it will be available?
I think you should bring your computer and maybe we can put everything together. I don't know if it has to be in one person's computer or the other, but maybe we'll talk to Mark Galoni,
Okay.
Sue. Well, I can talk to him and find out what's the easiest way to have everything
Okay.
kind of.
That would be great. I
Seamless.
don't really have any cables or anything like that I would know of to attach to some sort of projection unit. So maybe you could find out a little bit about that too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
please let me know what I can do.
Okay, sure.
so Bill and I, when Bill and I presented presented on the village center,
Mhm.
we now, let me put it this way, we now have the cables we need. The townhouse now has the cables they need in order to hook up
To
to
various different
to a Mac,
devices.
or exactly, right, and
Okay.
they were missing the Mac cable. They now have it.
Okay.
And it should be on the cart with all the
Mm-hmm.
other cables and so forth.
Okay.
But there is just a couple, 2 or 3 steps to go through, and Laura or Sue, you can get them from either Mark or maybe even Mona or Felicia.
Sure.
And it's
One
just
of the
matter
things I
of doing
noticed
your
at the warrant
laptop
committee-
and connecting with the cable.
Yeah, and like at the warrant committee meeting, I thought it was interesting that we didn't control the slideshow, which was, I mean, it was totally fine. It wasn't a big deal at all. But if that's easier and there's a computer in the office, that makes sense to use just to avoid any confusion, like for you guys to be able to prep it, that's fine with me too. So you guys just let me know what works best. It's a very
Okay.
short presentation and I think Scott, I won't speak for you, but we're pretty comfortable with it at this point. So I feel like we don't have to be too concerned about, which computer it's on.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed.
As long as it's not Sue's laptop.
Yeah. No kidding.
Sorry, what time is the public hearing? Is it 7?
Yeah.
Yes.
7.
Okay,
Is that a
thank you.
regular meeting of the planning board? Like, will we have other business as well, or is it just solely focused on the 2 articles?
You're probably gonna have some other business. I don't know what yet.
It's
And,
only a week away. Hopefully we'll have the
yeah.
minutes. We still have the minutes of February 27th
Okay.
Yeah,
to approve, and maybe we can even have, depending on what happens over the next couple of days, since this is a short meeting, maybe we can even have the minutes of tonight's meeting,
Okay.
Yeah.
right? There won't be any applications because it's only 5 working days away, and that doesn't meet our
Okay.
schedule and policy.
Okay. So if nobody shows up,
If no one shows up, we basically go on to the next agenda items, which will be.
Carol,
approval.
did you see my just quick thing that the date was wrong on that little blurb?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Yep,
Okay.
thank you very
All right,
much.
Thank you. Yep. Thanks for doing.
And what Jody's referring to is that we're going to have Felicia put a blurb on the homepage, the Dover homepage, announcing the public hearing. To do an email blast as well to those that have signed up for town emails. And I'll get it onto the Dover MA Facebook page as well.
If you guys see that and can share it, feel free.
Yeah, and please, send it to
Great.
whoever you that, exactly. The floodplain letters went out. Sue, how many folks did it go to?
42, Laura, was it 42, I think?
yeah, I think 40 actually at the end of the day, because I didn't send the one to Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
And then
And-
we had one that was undeliverable, so that's pretty good.
That's great. And have we had any feedback?
I have not heard. Have you, Laura?
We heard back from 2 people. One of them was Suzanne
Sheridan.
Saunders.
Sue Sheridan.
Who Sheridan?
Sheridan, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And, it was, she didn't really have any huge issues. It looks like her house is out of the floodplain, except for, maybe some outbuilding that's in the floodplain, but, we got squared away, with her situation. And then the other one was,
Maureen Dilge.
yeah, she just wanted to see the map and understand how she was in the floodplain, so I sent her that.
Okay, great. Very good. So I will turn it over now to you, Laura, for any updates that you might have.
Okay. Carol wanted me to update all of you a little bit about signs. This isn't really comprehensive as far as the town sign code, but we did have a request from St. Dunstan's Church to change out some of their signs. They have some entrance and exit signs that are a little bit just a little worn. I mean, they look fine, but they wanted to update them. So they're going to be changing the color and having gold lettering on purple, and they'll look, really, I think, quite nice. But, it's just the works of sign bylaws. Anything to do with a religious institution or an educational institution is exempt from the sign bylaw, and particularly where it's a religious institution, it gets into expression of your freedom of religion and all of that kind of thing. So there have been some big cases where towns have been taken to court because they've been too restrictive to, different churches or other houses of worship. So we're not going to be telling them what to do. They're not going to be coming in front of the planning board for a review. But at the same time, they were advised, gee, you really should make sure those signs are on your property and not, in the street layout for Springdale Avenue, which is both a, kind of maintenance and liability issue, as well as possibly a traffic safety issue, although the land goes up pretty steeply. So, you know, I'm not sure if that would really be an issue. But that's the nutshell version of that part of the sign code. Unless there's anything you wanted to add, Carol.
No, that's fine. We don't get too many sign requests, and I think, I'm not sure that there's been any kind of sign request, while Scott's been on the board. So I thought it was
think
just
so.
an opportunity for a quick, sign bylaw 101. So thank you for that.
The other things I wanted to just update everybody on, you probably saw a advisory from the Attorney General's office about this MBTA communities bylaw, which is a state law requiring that communities either adjacent to the MBTA, like Dover, or with commuter rail or bus lines, subway, you know, any of those rail, any of those types of transit going through them, have to provide some high density zoning. It doesn't mean that towns have to make sure that high density projects get approved. It just means the state wants to get a little bit of greater capacity for housing units. And the density that they're looking for, which is 15 units per acre, you actually come really close to that with the Red Robin development down on County Street. And next to that, you have a development called County Court, which is also pretty dense. And then there's another couple of condominiums in that same area. So you almost already have it. So I don't think it has to be anything hugely awful and scary as far as bringing change to Dover. So there are some opportunities to get some help with this. And one of those was through one of the housing organizations. They had consultants, you know, for free, that towns can just sign up for. So I got Dover signed up, and the consultant that is going to be assigned to Dover, they're called Horsley Witten. Their strength and most of their experience is in environmental issues. So I think they might be good for Dover because they can make sure that those things get addressed even when there's high density. So I think it's going to be interesting to work with them. So that's one of the consultants that you've got. And then there's another whole program of free consulting where they help towns with just public outreach. So people can learn about, you know, what density is actually going to mean in terms of how it looks, before people maybe get too negative an impression. So I think that's what they're going to be working on. It's kind of, I don't want to say marketing. It's a little bit of marketing for this type of, well, I said I didn't want to use I'm not going to use the word marketing. So we'll see what that entails. But the way they're going about that is they have communities in the same general geographic area come together and look at how it's going with bringing this into their communities. So for Dover, the communities that we'd probably be in the group with would be Medfield, Westwood. I'm not sure about Needham, but you know, there would be a number. Norwood, I think, is in the group. There'd be a number of other towns, you know, kind of in the same more or less the same situation as Dover and the same general location. And most of those other towns have thousands of units they have to accommodate. Dover has all of 102, and you can count, the ones that are already existing, like the Red Robin, which has about 40. So I think there's some paths ahead with that, which are not going to be too extreme. So I wanted to just bring that up and just let everyone know.
Thank you.
So one of the things I'd like you all to think about is that personally, I think that the process that we used of having a point person for the floodplain, Scott, and multi-year point person for the ADUs with Jody, and Bill and I sort of focusing on the village center, tends to work well.
Mhm.
It allows Laura to get input and pass things by planning board members in between meetings, because we're not a quorum, we're a working group.
Mhm.
And we might want to take the same approach with the MBTA Communities Act.
Mm.
I think we should probably wait a little bit, and when we have our first meeting with the consultants,
Yeah.
see how they want to operate as well. But just something to think about
Yeah,
as we go forward.
good idea.
Sounds,
So that's it on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up? Val, anything new on trees? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I don't mean to jump in, Val, if you want to talk about trees first. I just had a quick question about the email we got from the woman over with the zoning issue.
Oh, let me address that first. Okay, so that issue is an ongoing issue. As we find out, Laura talked to Walter Avalone this morning. I happened to run into Walter even earlier this morning in the townhouse. This has been an ongoing issue, goes back 1.5 years, 2 years, on various aspects. Walter is addressing it and has sent out an email to her today,
Okay.
which basically said that there are no illegal activities, property changes, or anything going on those 2 other properties. And that it might be unfortunate that she has neighbors whose, I think he put lifestyle, is something that she has an issue with. But the fact is that there are no illegal activities occurring in any way.
Okay.
So, that's an example of citizens contacting whoever they can, sometimes when they get frustrated and so forth.
Mm.
So it's incumbent upon us to know, to not get involved, because there's usually a backstory,
Mhm.
and to relate to, just to make sure that the staff, the townhouse staff who has responsibility for things like that, in this case, not knowing exactly the details, it was either our town planner or our zoning enforcement officer, and that they take charge of it.
Gotcha.
Any other
Carol,
questions?
do you want me to
Yeah.
send that email around? I mean, it was such a well-written email.
Yeah, why don't you do that, Laura? That's a great idea. Yep. Yeah.
You mean Walter's email?
Walter's
Yeah.
email.
Oh,
Yep.
great. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, Val.
So, and I apologize, my connection's not great this evening. We had our second public forum on March 11th. And unfortunately, we ended up making it an online forum. And so our attendance wasn't very high. I think we only had 5 people from the community show up. But we still had a great discussion. They had a great presentation. They kind of gave a summary of their findings. And so it went well in that respect. And they are working on, I believe this week, getting us their final documents. They sent a draft last week, and our tree committee provided some feedback to them. And so now we're just waiting for the final draft. So it should be coming this week.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Now,
and they'll-
will they be presenting the draft? Whoops. Will they be presenting the draft to us, or via Zoom, or just sending us a report? What was in
I
the?
think they're just sending us the report. They're going to send it to us both electronically as well as, I believe we're getting 3 bound copies. I believe that's what we have in our contract. I have to go back and double check. But I think in their mind, the public forum on the 11th was kind of like their presentation to our
Oh.
community.
Okay.
But I think they did a great job. They were a great group to work with. I
Was
feel
it
that they really,
recorded, Val?
yes. So I
Okay.
can forward the
that'd be
recording
great.
around to
Thank you. I'd
everyone.
love to
Yep,
watch it.
Sure. And we will be posting it on the website. We just got back last night from a trip, so I will get that done soon.
Thank you.
It's interesting to note that one of the warrant articles at town meeting will be the official disbandment of the town's tree committee.
We talked about that at our public forum.
Hmm.
Because we mentioned there might be some confusion at the public or at the town meeting. And we talked about the scope, the difference between that committee that's being disbanded had a very narrow scope. It was really looking at the right of way for our roadways. Whereas this current tree committee is looking at the entire town, both public and private lands, all the trees within the community of Dover. And then they gave some recommendations going forward for a tree commission who would work and support the tree warden.
Okay, so what I might do, Val, I can't imagine, well, you never know what kind of questions are gonna come at town meeting.
Mhm.
So I might let Jim Repetti know that if there's a question on
Okay.
this issue, that he might look to you for an answer.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? Okay, so at 7:37, it's my pleasure. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Second.
Okay, we'll take a roll call, a vote. Scott,
yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Carol, yes. Okay, thank you all very, very much. And we will see, when's our next meeting? On Monday, 3rd. Public hearing again. It should be a very short meeting.
Mhm.
And Laura, good luck on the continuance of 78 Strawberry Hill.
Okay, thank
We
you.
would all appreciate
We'll
it.
try.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good night.
thanks.
Good night.
Good night. All right.
We're,
Oh,
the recording's on, Laura.
okay. We're just gonna turn it right off.
Okay.